horse won a pre-prep race for the Kentucky Derby called the Florida Derby and won it by 13 lengths. And so he's the favorite. And, anytime you hear a horse win by that many lengths, you start to think, does this one have...
I want to put my money on this
triple crown, Magnus. We haven't had a Triple Crown winner since 2018. People might remember Justify was the last Triple Crown winner. And, of course, the greatest racehorse of all, Secretariat. Can you believe it, Tony? 1973 was when Secretariat set the record, still holds today at the Kentucky Derby, 1:59.4. Just if you have a chance to go back and look at that race on Google or YouTube, I encourage you to do so, because we always love to talk about the GOATs, the greatest of all time. Well, Secretariat certainly was the greatest racehorse maybe we'll ever see in our lifetime. But maybe fierceness has it in him that he becomes yet another Triple Crown winner.
I know. I haven't followed it as closely as I would have liked, but I will say, there is, though, a little bit maybe more parity in the Kentucky Derby. I guess that's the word I want to use when we talk about horse racing, but it'll be interesting to see how it all plans out. But I just love the pageantry of it.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's really grown, the pageantry, the party.
Yes, it has.
You tune in to see everybody's outfits, their Sunday's best, if you will. The hats, of course, have become legendary there. And I hope, a lot has been written and said, and rightfully so, about the sport of horse racing and, how dirty it became in terms of drugging horses. And hopefully they've made some inroads because there is a lot of, we'll call it what it is, neglect to thoroughbreds and drugging them. And I just hope beyond hope that we've started to see the last of that, because it is, you see those thoroughbreds. I've never been to the Kentucky Derby. It's sort of on my bucket list. And, of course, there's races leading all the way up to the main event, if you will. But I have been to the Indianapolis 500, and if any of our listeners haven't been, I'd encourage you to go at least once, because, as they say, it's the greatest spectacle in racing, and to see 250,000 people plus, and, boy, the roar of those engines.
Special.
Yeah, very special. And I would assume you could equate watching those thoroughbreds run that 1.25 miles at Churchill Downs is pretty heart racing too.
So from horse racing to women's NBA,
the WNBA,
Indiana Fever.
Yeah,
they start their schedule tonight, 8 p.m. against Dallas. And if you would like to go to the game, good luck, because I think they're sold out.
And that's just a preseason game.
This is just a preseason game.
Yeah.
And tickets are starting as low as $48.
Caitlin Clark fever, man. We could say the month of May is about the Indianapolis 500. I think we should maybe edit that to
Caitlin
say
Clark month.
The Caitlin Clark craze is officially upon us, and they're not too far out from their season opener. I did notice that I believe next week they have their first home preseason game, and they've had to move the dates of that because, of course, the Pacers won their first round of the playoffs, defeating the Bucks 4-2. So they'll be playing the Knicks. Yeah, they'll be playing the Knicks now, Tony. So they've had to do at Gainbridge Fieldhouse some scheduling adjusting. So
it's nice to have some, what's the word I want to use? Positivity about our professional Indiana teams.
A lot of buzz, going around.
The Colts are the Colts. They hold their own.
Yep.
But the Pacers, they've been up and down, and they're playing well.
I love
watching the Pacers.
Yeah,
and I don't even like the NBA.
Fast.
I don't even like the
fast,
NBA
period, but
I will watch the Pacers.
Yeah. And Halliburton's a heck of a player.
He is. Dude, that dude can ball.
He can flat out play the game.
And so now I wait for Caitlin Clark. I'm going to watch her preseason game on television tonight just to see how she acclimates. And it'll be interesting to see how much time she gets. I think it'll be interesting, honestly, to see if Caitlin's going to go to coach and say, I want more time.
Yeah, I think they might be pretty cautious, right, in the preseason.
Yeah, I know you would like to say that, and she's going to have to learn to accept that. I just want to see the conversation.
Did you see, and I've been intrigued. I'll admit, because like we talked about in the last couple sports talk shows we've had in back-to-back weeks, we wanted to see and still want to see how her game translates to that level. And boy, if some of the practice videos that are out there circulating is any indication, I think she'll be more than okay. Yeah. It was funny. They did a half-court shot to end one of their practices. Caitlin's first try, she swishes it, and her teammates were giving her the business because they're like, that's not fair. That's in her range. Move her back to like three-quarter court. So anyway, but yeah. And really.
How cool is that, though?
A lot of times, Tony, with her game, of course, we all talk about her unbelievable range, Seth Curry but boy, watching some of the videos, her passing ability and how she sees the floor and gets teammates involved is really something special. And I'm sure something special if you've got an Indiana Fever ticket down in Cambridge Fieldhouse. That's going to be like gold. So
let's see. NBA TV is going to have several games. CBS is going to have 2 or 3. ESPN's got a couple. CBS has got an afternoon game, a central
for WNBA
network,
for Fever
for
game.
WNBA, Fever. ION, that network that used to be one that several years ago did NHL. They didn't have enough money in their contract to keep it, but they are going to be broadcasting Fever game this year. So it's a little bit of everything. Now, there's still some games that aren't TV.
Well, I saw some locally stationed down in Indianapolis picked up. I don't know how many games, but yeah, they're
THR.
Interested
They've been investing a lot of time into
and why not
to this,
right?
Prime Video has even got a Caitlin Clark game. ESPN3. Prime Video has got 1, 2, 3. 4 games with Caitlin Clark. Now, I'm not seeing any preseason stuff, but I can guarantee you there's someone.
Well, you would think somebody in this day and age would carry that, right?
Someone's going to broadcast that. So I don't think I'm going to have any problem finding it. But, I got to admit, I got a little bit of the fever.
Oh, I do too.
I got a little bit of the fever.
I have to admit, I follow them. I now follow the Indiana Fever on Twitter, X, whatever it's called now, but on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I'm intrigued. I'm interested, and I think you and I talked about it. We'd love to go see her play. That's for sure. See her play in person.
Yes, I would.
I mean, no doubt about it.
Yes, I would.
I'd like to take all of it in because this is a special time. I mean, the movement that she has going for women's basketball, college, and now transitioning to pro basketball. I mean, the WNBA has never been as popular as it is right now, and a lot of that has to do with Caitlin Clark.
Yes, but
not
that far behind is the Chicago Sky.
That's right.
They got a loaded roster.
Oh yeah,
probably maybe even better than the Fever.
Yeah,
I mean, they've got what's her name?
Well, the South Carolina Reese, and then of course the South Carolina big.
Yeah, that's right.
And I always butcher her name.
Is it Williams? Not Williams, but
I always want to say Mendoza, but
Enroyer, isn't it? Is it Enroyer?
No, it's doggone it.
Or Zik or something. Or
we'll find it. Cardoza, that's it.
Yeah. 6'7".
Yeah, 6'7".
She is 6'7".
Yeah, the Chicago Carolina Sky had a dream draft.
Sky
by getting Reese and Cardoza.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm hoping there's going to be a lot of parity.
Yep.
It's going to make it. I will watch that more than I will the NBA.
And then don't forget the Olympics are this summer, and there's still that nugget. Will Caitlin Clark? It's got to be a no-brainer, right? She's on the Olympic team.
Yeah,
just from a marketability.
And the same can we say for Angel Reese, but I don't know. Is Reese committed?
No. I don't even think.
I don't think she's
officially that Caitlin Clark is a member of that team yet. You would think that'd be only a matter of time, right?
Not officially. How do you say no to them?
But the men's and women's United States Olympic teams are going to be like dream teams.
Yeah,
I know the men's team that they had released is like wow. It's been a while since the United States roster has been that strong.
Well,
Kevin
it's exciting.
Durant and company.
I mean, it's just exciting.
Yeah.
And
I think Halliburton's playing on the USA team, if I'm not mistaken. I
Oh,
want to
is he?
say. I think.
Yeah, you're right. He did say he was going to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
They haven't had
good
too
call.
many no's that LeBron's playing in it. Mm-hmm. And like I said, yeah.
Well, I think this is getting close to LeBron's swan song.
Right. He's 38, I think, 38 years old.
What else has he got to really
Of course,
accomplish?
they bowed out of the playoffs, and everyone's wondering whether he'll retire. Well, I had heard he's still owed. If he plays next year, I think it's a $50 million. He's not going to cash that in.
No.
I mean, he's wealthy, but then I've also heard he's interested in being a partial buyer of an NBA team. So obviously he has more money to know what to do with.
If you got the money,
but
why not?
And then there have been some rumors out there that, would he try to get Bronny invited to, say, a Lakers training camp situation? But I don't know how much. I don't know if that'll come to fruition.
Right. I don't know. Like I said, this is the most we're going to talk about the NBA because we don't know. I just don't like watching it. At times, I mean, they got great athletes. I just don't like how it's played. And that's it. That's my preference. It's my preference. And,
Boy, I'll tell you what, it's a very popular game. And if you don't think it's popular, there's discussions because the TV rights deal is up. And I've heard some reports that NBC is throwing a few Brinks trucks to try to get it. Yeah, so that should tell you how valuable the NBA is. Now, it's still behind the NFL.
The last time NBC had it was when Marv Albert was.
Yeah, it's been a long time. So they want to take it from TBS, TNT, True TV, right?
Well, let me tell you about TBS and TNT now. They're doing themselves. Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the caliber of play. But right now, they're in the middle of their hockey season playoffs. I've been watching that.
Thumbs up.
Yeah,
right?
I have not think I would enjoy it because normally when the Blackhawks are out, I'm done with hockey.
Yeah, ditto.
I'm done with hockey.
But I'm with you.
That hasn't been the case this year. I mean, Boston and Toronto has been a hell of a series.
Yeah.
Hell of a series. And now they're going back to Boston for Game 7.
Game 7. And Toronto was down 3-1 in that series.
Yeah, but that's typical Boston. The last, 3 years, they've been 3-1.
And they were out. Toronto was out
going to
Austin Matthews the last couple games.
And credit Toronto, man.
Yep.
They're busting hump.
You talk about a fan base that's craving for a championship. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, Canada has not had a Stanley Cup winner in 30-plus years. I think 30-plus.
Oh, was it Calgary the last
May have been Calgary. Edmonton's got a good chance.
Yep.
Edmonton's super good.
This has got to be the best chance for a Canadian
team,
so. I would think, in a number of years.
I agree.
And how about
the Rangers are extremely solid.
Yep.
The Rangers are a very good hockey team right now. Carolina, they got the talent, but man, there's nothing excitable, or they got maybe one or two scores that you pay attention to, but it's just, they've had an easy route. I feel personally they've had a decent and easy route to where they're at now. I'm not saying they're not good because they are. And it's the playoffs and anything can happen, all that yada yada stuff. But just watching the Rangers and following them and then watching Edmonton play, I'm not even sure they can beat Toronto. Or I'm not even sure Toronto can beat them. Either one of them. If they match up, they won't match up to Edmonton until the Stanley Cup playoffs, but if that's how it's going to roll out. But
I mean, you have two Game 6s tonight, Vancouver and Nashville, and the Dallas Stars, who are the number 1 seed, play Vegas. And
I would be more confident in Dallas right now if they just played more consistent.
They're up 3-2 in that series, going to Vegas.
And Vegas is not the Vegas that won the Stanley Cup a few years ago. I mean, they're good, but they just can't seem to put away teams, and so I don't know.
Yeah, that Carolina Rangers, that's who's the next series. They start on Sunday. That should be a dynamite series.
Well, I don't think it will be. I think the Rangers will win this one, win that series, and it could be in 4. But Carolina does get some good goaltending, so I don't know. I that's just my prediction and observation. Watch it go Carolina in 4. But
I'm telling you too,
that's what it is. It's just,
this time of year, I always encourage sports fans, if you've never really followed hockey or haven't watched it, try to carve out an hour or two in your day or night and watch an NHL playoff game. And I will bet anything you will not be disappointed, because
now, have you heard rumblings about Patrick Kane possibly coming back to Chicago?
Well, I have not heard that one.
Yeah,
really.
He did his Twitter thing for Detroit,
right?
I thank the fans and stuff like that. But yeah,
so he's a free agent again or has an option.
I think he has the option.
Yeah,
I may be wrong on that. Don't hold me to that. But there's already been some reporting that there could be a Patrick Kane signing back in Chicago.
Wouldn't that be something, huh?
Well, the Blackhawks have cut some loose ends. And now they got more money to go after some key free agents that they have to do. They have to get 2. One of them's got to be a defenseman, because our D line still, our defensemen are still too young. And while they got talent, they just don't play defense like they should. And so if they bring in a veteran that can help out and keep them organized and not so aggressive per se, and just learn to play defense. I think one of our bigger problems this past year for the Hawks was that we had deep, guys who tried to play defense but didn't take angles well, and so it cost them position, therefore it cost them possession. And so, I don't know. I think the rebuilding part here for Chicago is going to be another year of improvement. Boy, if they get some free agents.
They have another great pick.
Yeah.
Draft. So,
but is it the 4th pick or something like that, or was it the 9th pick?
Have they had the lottery yet? Isn't that coming up?
They did. I think it's a top 10 pick.
It is a top 10 pick, but the actual lottery, I want to say, it might be this weekend on one of the broadcasts.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
It might be. I can't remember.
Kane, by the way, to follow up on your point about being a Blackhawk, remember he returned to United Center for the first time as a Red Wing in February, and they did a story, and he admitted it would be tough if the Blackhawks wanted him back to say no.
Yeah.
So there you go. Be a great
and
PR
I will take
move.
Patrick Kane.
He's 35 years old.
I was going to say, I'd take a 35-year-old Patrick Kane any time of the day.
Yeah.
He's still got it. Now, his numbers aren't showing that. But you put him in with some young pups, give him a breath of fresh air, because now I think he realized when he left and he wanted to go to a Stanley Cup contending team, that road, even with a good team, is tough to get to.
Oh, yeah.
Can
you imagine him
he knows what it's like to win a Stanley
playing
Cup.
with Bedard?
Well, I'm telling you, I'm surprised. I am surprised that he left New York. I mean, he had Panarin with him on one wing, and who was it? I can't think of it. It's a weird name. Smanajed, I think it is, or he's got long hair. He's a heck of a hockey player. He just couldn't jive.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the system, and it just didn't work out. Plus, he got injured, and that didn't help. But really, I mean, if I'm Patrick Kane, and I want to play one more year at least, and you got the opportunity to go back to where you started with all the great memories, why not?
Yeah.
Come home, Patrick. Just come home.
Yeah, the Blackhawks need a shot of adrenaline.
They really do. But
Bedard was good, but that's worn on.
He needs a wingman.
Got to start winning games too.
You can put Connor at any position: center, forward, either side of the forward spot. He's so talented.
Yeah, and he is going to be a great
shoots
one.
as hard when he's got to play the right wing as he does when he's on the left wing.
Yeah.
It's just like I said. That'd be great, and I think Patrick could teach Connor a little bit. And I think Patrick is in his stage where it's time to, I'm still able to contribute, but I don't have to be the number one.
Yeah, he can come back to Chicago and be the Yoda of the Blackhawks.
Yeah,
right.
I
Bedard would listen.
Like
who wouldn't listen?
Yoda was an important character.
That's right.
In Star Wars.
Hey, Kanner's got 3 rings. That'll do a lot of talking.
That does. That speaks a little
It's
volume.
got a lot of clout. Heck yeah.
So, all right, let's take a break. 12:25. Sports Talk on the Max. Okay, welcome back to Sports Talk on the Max. Next thing I want to tackle is a post that you did earlier this week, and to this very moment, very second, over 320,000 have posted on this very thing that you posted yourself. It was an IHSA release, but you kind of took it by the horns a little bit and made a lot of people think. And obviously, when you have 300,000 plus posting on a post, you've done your job well. So nice job, Doogie. So I guess the best way to do this is to start from scratch. Talk about
about 3 days ago, like Tony said, there was the IHSA. There's been a lot of news, breaking news from the IHSA, which we knew would be coming this week because their board voted on some things. And one of those 3 days ago was the full recognition of boys volleyball and girls wrestling. And some of you might be saying, well, wait a minute. Boys volleyball has been going on at some high schools, as has girls wrestling, but the IHSA, Indiana High School Athletic Association, had not fully recognized them, meaning that they will now have their own dedicated state tournaments beginning next school year, 2024-25, and these become the 23rd and 24th sports sponsored by the IHSA, and that post Tony was referring to has reached over 300, almost 350,000 people, and as impressive as that is, there have been 90 comments to that post on our Facebook Sports to the Max page, and 340 shares. And I went back and looked at some of the shares. I mean, it is statewide. High schools, they were very, very interested. And the comments, what's great about it is, and I think it was overdue for the IHSA, but, as you will, people have an opinion. Sure, they want certain sports that have yet to be recognized, lacrosse being one, which I think that, and I responded, I think it's only a matter of time before it will be sooner rather than later that lacrosse is fully recognized, because I equate lacrosse a lot to how soccer was about 2 decades ago. It's one of the fastest growing sports in America, and some people would say, well, the IHSA is a little bit behind the times because all our surrounding states do have girls wrestling and boys volleyball as fully recognized sports. Well, that day now has come. Lacrosse will be coming, folks, and I think what's just great about it is more opportunity for youth. I think baseball coaches might be concerned because boys volleyball will take place in the spring, whereas girls wrestling will take place in the winter. So there might be some concern from girls basketball. I guess the one concern, if you will, I might have is we have a official shortage in seems like every Indiana high school sport, and how are you going to get officials for 2 more sports? But again, I'm all for more opportunities, and we know, Tony, I mean, Glenn, Plymouth has had girls wrestlers, and so I think the transition for some schools will be very, very easy. And I should also mention, too, that word came out from the IHSA about reclassifying sectionals for 6 sports, football and boys and girls basketball included. So that also generated a lot of talk, and it'll
you'll never get that right.
No,
if you're the IHSA, you will never be able to get the reclassification right, simply because of everything that entails in it.
Well, of course, just for our listeners, they base it on enrollment of schools. So about a month ago, they came out with the list of school enrollments and how that was breaking down. And you had a pretty good idea how it would all shake down. But then you also have to take in consideration, because they have the success rule. So you had to jockey some teams up and down. And I think they did a really good job balancing the teams. I mean, if you look at, I believe, basketball, it's pretty even from 95 to 97 teams in each class, each of the 4 classes. And one of the things that jumped out was locally, Plymouth now goes from class 4A, this is in basketball, from 4A to 3A. But don't get overly
don't
giddy,
get too excited about that,
Pilgrim fans, because you're now in a sectional with John Glenn, Culver Academy, South Bend, St. Joe, Marion, among others. So they are in a wickedly tough schedule. And the boys sectional includes South Bend, Washington, where the Plymouth girls basketball sectional does not. That's the only difference between boys and girls basketball at Plymouth in terms of sectional opponents.
Well, and it's different for others. I mean, LaVille has been affected. Primion's been affected. Triton has not. Argus has not. And I don't think Culver has either, if my memory serves me correctly.
Right.
I don't think. But, again, you knew when they were even talking about this that the possibility of Plymouth being affected was going to happen. The enrollment's been down. And so, and I will tell you, as soon as that gets back up, they'll be one of the first to get back into the 4A just because of the reputation of that school. They want to put Plymouth up with the big boys because Plymouth is, they've been a team that has always had a target on their back, and like I said, it'll be interesting to see how things work out at first. And, I don't care. You're going to get it right for some, but you're not going to get it right for others. And as far as I'm concerned, I mean, we can base this off anything you want, whether it be population to any type of other reclassification you can think of. Someone's going to get the shaft, and some are going to say, thank God.
I love it. I don't know. It's change. Sometimes change is good. Sometimes, like you said, change brings some not so good things. But how about this for football? Since we're months away from football, that's the next high school sport when we get done with these spring sports. How about Class 1A? The 41 sectional includes 8 teams now. You ready? Bowman Leadership Academy, Culver Community, LaVille, North Judson, North Newton, South Central, South Newton, and West Central. So now you have LaVille and North Judson in the same sectional. And why that, and we have firsthand knowledge of this, why that becomes intriguing, many reasons. But how many times have we seen LaVille has had to go through Andrean to win a sectional? It seems like almost every year, right?
Every year.
Well, that's not going to be the case anymore in football, at least for the next 2 years. So that's one of the things that jumped out at me. Plymouth, by the way, is still in football 4A. So that remains the same. And I believe their opponents, Plymouth listeners, their football sectional will include Mishawaka, Northridge, Northwood, South Bend Riley, South Bend St. Joe, South Bend Washington, and Wawasee. Again, brutal.
It is.
That's the 4A football sectional for Plymouth. So,
yeah, that's
it's murderous.
That's tough, man. That's tough. All right, the Indy 500 is getting closer. Our very own Rusty Nixon had a chance to talk with Mr. Bowles, CEO of Indy Motor Speedway. And we'll come back with that interview with him in just a moment.
I guess, first of all, I need to thank you because I know May is such a slow month for you. There's not much going on.
Yeah. It's funny. The question I get more than any, though, is what do you do the rest of the year? Because people just assume that all we do is the 500. And we're literally on track with something 140 days a year.
Yeah.
And with all our other events, it's unbelievably busy how busy it is anymore. So yeah, May is busy, but pretty much the whole season is busy for us.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got a lot of stuff going on down there other than just the 500. You got the road course, there's just all kinds of things that are happening right around there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So you got the road course, obviously kicks the month of May off, and then we've got the Indianapolis 500, and the weekend of qualifying before that. But then we go right in. We got a big vintage race in June, our NASCAR race in July. Later in the year, we have our sports car race. We've got a midget race, and then another sports car race. And then in between all that, we have OEMs who come in and test new cars. Yeah. We've got teams that are testing and compete. It's pretty crazy.
I guess the question I have, first of all, to ask you, what's it like? This is one of the iconic places for all racing in the world, really. What's it like to work there and program this and do the things you do?
Well, it's first of all, I can't believe it every day that I roll into the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and I get to work there. I still remember the first time I went to the race was 1977 with my dad, and I still remember sort of the excitement and wonder as a 10-year-old, walking in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and I wish I could tell that 10-year-old that, hey, you think this is cool now? Wait a little while, and it's going to get even cooler. And so for me, it's a lot of responsibility because the venue, and especially the Indy 500, is so special to so many people. And so as I go to the work every day, I try and think about, okay, what can I do to make sure that that specialness and that pride that our fan takes in the event and in the facility, that we just continue to give them more reason to feel like this is why I've invested my time. This is why I'm passionate about it. You know, that's, for me, you know, it comes with that bit of responsibility. And, but again, like I said, every day I walk in, I think of that walk with my dad walking in gate 1 in early morning, 1977 to go see my first 500.
Yeah, I'm going to admit to you, I had a Greek roommate in college who wanted to disown me. I'm not sure he's still talking to me now because I live in Indiana and I had never been to even a qualifying at the 500, and he thought that was blasphemy. So
yeah, well, it's. Yeah, I can understand that.
and I guess the point I'm making is this is a worldwide thing. This is not just Indiana. I mean, everybody around the world is focused on you guys for this month.
Well, for sure. And you know, you think about racing and races. There's a lot of racing that goes on around our country, around the world, and there are a lot of races that take place around the country in Indiana and around the world. But there are very, very few events that just happen to have racing as part of the overall event. And what really makes the 500 special is the fact that it's not a race. It's an event that just happens to have a race as part of the event. And you see that when, you know, 330,000 people come through the gates, many of whom, for them, that's their one race experience all year. They don't even watch another race on TV, but that event, because of all the other things, where they sit, who they sit with, what they pack in their cooler, when they show up, you know, all those things, and then all of the traditions that lead up to it are what make it special. So it is pretty cool that we're on an international stage with this event, and it is much more than a race.
And and you mentioned the event. There's a lot more going on than just the race, too. I mean, there's the qualifying rounds. People come down for those, but you've got concerts and everything else going on down there.
Well, what we try and do is, you know, there's kind of something for everybody, and that's what really makes it fun. So you could be, you know, somebody that just likes to get away for the weekend and go camping, and you can camp and never even walk inside the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and still be part of that whole atmosphere. Or you can go and watch racing, or you can go and picnic and you know, watch it on the boards and not worry about it. You can go listen to music on race day or carb day. If you don't want big crowds but you love fast speeds, you come out on qualifying day. It's just for me, it's just the thing that makes it so special. Is there are just so many ways to enjoy and appreciate the Indianapolis 500, and that's really what makes it so special.
I'm looking at May 24th for me. I mean, I'm an older guy, so George Thorogood and the Gin Blossoms, it's a pretty good concert lineup, too, for Carb Day.
Well, you know, so transparently, the Carb Day announcement day is one of my least favorite days of the year because, you know, invariably you're going to make a bunch of people mad and a bunch of people happy. There's just no way to really make that one a great one. And so when you bring somebody like a Thorogood and a Gin Blossoms, which is a little bit younger than Thorogood, obviously, you get a whole group of younger fans who think, well, what are these guys thinking? And even at some level, I mean, some of our older fans, and if you're not really a big music aficionado, you might not know those names, but I guarantee you when you hear the music, you know it, right?
Yeah.
So that day for me, that announcement is sort of a challenge, but that day always ends up being great because people end up there, they have a great time, and they start going, oh yeah, I knew that song, I know that song, I didn't know that guy did that, you know, and that's what makes that day special. I'm excited about Carb Day this year because the Thunderbirds are going to do our flyover on race day. They're going to do some demonstration flights on Carb Day as well, which we've never had happen before. So you get kind of a mini air show on Carb Day, as well as the concert, as well as the final practice. So that's going to be a good day.
I want to. You mentioned the air stuff. The Armed Forces qualifying day. I mean, there's a lot of folks in Indiana that are very, very, grateful for the service of our armed forces, and I'm sure that's going to be a special day too.
Yeah, I mean, there's so two moments for me stand out as my favorite moments of the year. And the top one is the performance of Back Home Again in Indiana on race day, right before the command to give start engines. There's nothing like that. But in second for me is the way that we honor and celebrate the men and women who serve, but more importantly, the men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country. And on race day, you know, we have that military march where our fans just stand up in this respectful salute and applause for those people who are serving, and then we, you know, play taps, and we're sure to remember what Memorial Day weekend is about, which I appreciate. And then on that Armed Forces weekend for qualifying, to get an opportunity to see men and women who are currently serving, we enlist a lot of young folks who take the oath for the branches of service that they're going to go into right inside the pagoda. Their families are there with them. It's an amazing moment to see young people stepping up to serve our country. So all of those things are important to the event, and it makes that day really, really special. One of the things we've added to that weekend is we also do a ceremony where 33 people take their oath to become U.S. citizens. So they've gone through the whole process, and it's just kind of, that weekend to me isn't a weekend that's just really about celebrating our country and the freedoms we have because of the men and women who serve.
Well, let's talk about that day, too, May 26th, the race. I mean, there's more going on. I mean, the race is the race. I mean,
yep.
It's the thing that everybody's focused on, but you got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, it's just a full-day party. You don't have to be a race fan to come out there and be involved in something.
Well, and I would say, like I said, about 60% of our fan, that's their one race experience all year. They don't watch another race, let alone attend one. And it is part people watching, it is part partying, it is part serious race fan. It's across the board, the people that come to be part of that, and the race is the platform, but there's so many other things that go on. And it's my favorite day of the year, and for a lot of people in the venue, that day is their favorite day of the year. What I love about it is inside the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on race day for the Indy 500, those 330,000 people represent the second largest city in the state of Indiana inside the racetrack.
Yeah.
So it's pretty powerful when you think that you bring that many people together in one location for one day to celebrate kind of sort of one thing, right? And I look forward to that day. I start counting it down as soon as the checkered flag falls, but at some level, I start counting down as soon as the command is given, because the pre-race celebration to me is so powerful and so moving when fans can be really excited, and then Taps is played and 330,000 people are completely quiet, including our Snake Pit, which is our EDM concert. We shut down the music, and you've got young people standing there being respectful, and then that to me, that day, just there's so many things that happen in that day, and it just makes you really proud to be a Hoosier, because I think a lot of the reason it's survived and it's grown and it has stuck to its DNA is because that's our Hoosier values.
Yeah.
So it is it's an amazing day.
Before I let you go, I know you're busy. I wanted to talk a little bit about stuff that goes on outside of just, the 500. My wife is a huge NASCAR Tony Stewart fan. She's covered the Brickyard down there for years. Talk about some of the other stuff. I know that the Brickyard 400 is a big event for you guys, but there's other stuff too that goes on.
Yeah, so the Brickyard 400 would be our second biggest event for sure, and it's going back to the Oval this year. It's been on the road course the last few years, so we're excited about that transition. The Xfinity Series continuing to run with us that weekend, so that's a big weekend. We have a big sports car race in the fall, and this year it'll be a 6-hour race from the IMSA, which is the top level sports car racing in the U.S., and their prototype cars. So that's another great race for us. For our short track fans who love short track, we built that small quarter-mile dirt track inside of Turn 3 in 2018. And outside of the Indianapolis 500 race day, my favorite day at the Speedway every year is the Driven to Save BC 39. It's what racing's all about. It is grassroots race car drivers. Almost 100 of them show up from all over the country to compete at the Speedway and on that little track in a race that Brian Clausen, who was an outstanding race car driver, lost his life in a midget. But when their family found out after that he was an organ donor, and so for us to be able to tell that organ donor story through the selflessness of Brian Clausen, it just makes that event even more powerful. So it's definitely one of my favorites. And then we end the season with an 8-hour race, which is the longest race we have at the Speedway every year, which is a GT race. So Porsches, Lamborghinis, that kind of, and it's a really fun race too. So there's an awful lot of spectator activity that takes place throughout the year beyond just May.
Yeah, and that's something I think people need to know is that there's more than just one race down there. I mean, you guys got a whole program going on for the whole year.
We do. I mean, we're as busy as we've ever been, and I think it's the right way to use the Speedway. For a long, long time, the Speedway was just open in May, and as that started to change, it started in 1994 when the Holman George family brought in NASCAR, and then they brought in Formula One, and then MotoGP, and as they continue to add more, we've kind of felt like let's make sure we're using our time wisely, bringing in the proper events. We don't take it on every event, but the proper ones, space them out in a way that it doesn't overtax the staff, doesn't give us a hurried time going from one event to the other, and we've got a nice cadence going. I think this year the cadence is really good.
Well, man, once again, thank you for taking the time to give me a call, and hopefully everybody, if you see this guy out at the track, shake his hand and say, "Hey, I heard you on whatever." So,
well, it's so for me, my favorite thing is hearing from fans. I love it when a fan tells me, "Hey, here's how I fell in love with the Speedway," or last night we did the Fort Wayne Fan Fest, and I have people come up and tell me how many years they've been, who brought them, or those kind of stories. Are the ones that are important to me, and I wear a tie every day because when they made me president, I said the brand deserves a tie, and it reminds me every day that I'm representing something so much bigger than I am, so much bigger than the facility is, and it means so much to so many people. And so for me, it's just kind of my reminder that the most important thing I can do is listen to fans and what they have to say. And a lot of it is just, they just want to tell a story how they fell in love with it. But a lot of it is people saying, "Hey, I love this, but can you fix this?" Or here's a small thing you can do to make my experience better. And that's really what my job is. And this tie that I wear anytime I'm representing the Speedway, even out in the middle of the snake pit with all the people who are not in ties and sometimes not in clothes, it's that reminder for me.
Well, look for the sharp dressed man. In other words,
there you go. There you go. Yep.
Thanks, man. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for taking the time.
That's Rusty Nixon, and of course, a great interview there with Doug Bowles, CEO of Indy Motor Speedway, as they get ready to have some fun here. And so that's a beautiful speedway. Matter of fact, that entire area is just like its own city. Yep. It's if you've not gone, go.
2.5 mile oval. It's hard to believe, Tony. You and I were talking off air just how massive it is. I mean, to give most of our listeners, of course, are well aware, but there's a 9-hole golf course in the middle of it. There's a lot of things that could fit in the inside of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And my last race, the Indy 500 race that I went to, was 1981, and I was seated next to the start-finish line across from pit row, and that was the infamous invisible pit fire with where Rick Mears caught on fire. And of course, at the time, those cars ran off of methanol, and that's why they called it the invisible fire, because you could barely see it other than a little orange flume, if you will. And he and his pit crew members are running down pit row, literally on fire, and that led to a lot of safety measures at Indy, including at that time, a lot of the pit crew members didn't wear flammable attire, but that definitely has changed. And that was also the year that Bobby Unser won in a controversial race over Mario Andretti. But there's nothing like those 33 cars coming out of the fourth turn on the last of the pace laps and getting the green flag, and then all 33 jockeying for position in the first turn and going 200 plus miles an hour. I've never experienced anything like it, and I'm sure I never will.
It is something to behold. At least experience once.
Yep, bucket list.
Sure. Yep, bucket list for sure. All right, taking a break. Coming back with more Sports Talk on the Max after this. Welcome back to Sports Talk. It is about 4 minutes to the top of the hour. Little reminder, tomorrow on Max 98.3, you can catch the Plymouth Baseball Tournament. It's always a big tournament every year, and this year we've got Fort Wayne, Carroll, Penn, and Logansport that are going to join the Pilgrims at Bill Nixon Field. The first pitch is going to be scheduled right around 11 a.m., and then it's baseball pretty much the rest of the day and afternoon. The consolation game usually starts around 6, followed by the championship game. Pilgrims got Concord tonight, though, so if they can pick up a win tonight against Concord, getting some momentum going into this tournament, never know. But Fort Wayne, Carroll,
Off a win, they snapped that losing streak.
Yeah, but Carroll and Penn are always the two that spoil the party. They really do. And it's just two great programs, man. Two great programs that are going to go at it. So it should be fun. It should be a fun time. And Max 98.3 is going to be broadcasting it. And so we hope you can join us right around 10:30 with the pregame, and we're going to go from there. So that's exciting that we have coming up. Let's see, what else?
So we've got to talk, and like you said, today's game against Concord, Plymouth, you can catch Rusty Nixon's call on max983.net. He'll have all the action, or listen on your radio there at Bill Nixon Field. And Plymouth looks to keep their winning ways going. It's been a tough haul for the Pilgrims, but it was good to see they got back on the winning track on Wednesday. And speaking baseball, boy, how about the Chicago Cubs? They let one get away yesterday, but what more can you say about rookie pitcher Shotei Imanaga, who was just named today before we went on the air, the National League Rookie Pitcher of the Year and month, and 5-0 with the lowest ERA in all the majors. I think it's something like it's below 1. I know that. He's been absolutely phenomenal. That ERA,
lights out.
0.78. How about this, Tony? 22 hits, 3 earned runs, 35 strikeouts, and just 4 walks in 34 2/3 inning.
That's it? That's all?
What a start he's had. And somehow the Cubs are 1 game back in Milwaukee. They host the Brewers starting this afternoon. Big 3-game series.
I'm there Sunday,
side.
baby.
Tony will be
I'm there Sunday.
on rep on Sunday. So, hey, credit Craig Counsell and company for somehow keeping this thing above water while they've had some big-time injuries. And now the news on the injury front is looking better and better.
Yeah.
Justin Steele could be back next week, and Bellinger's not too far. Suzuki's not too far from getting back, and that's good news for the Northsiders.
Well, it is. And I'm anxious to see how this weekend's going to play out. And I don't think I'll get to see Imanaga Sunday, will I?
See, he pitched. My daughter went in New York
Wednesday
night's game.
So
let's see,
Thursday,
no, he won't pitch.
he won't pitch.
I can look it up and see who.
Well, I'm trying to find it. I don't know why I'm struggling finding it. But it would be nice to see him. But, of course, it'd be nice to see Steele,
You're
too.
going to see Assad.
Assad pitch?
Yeah. Who's 2-0 with a 197 ERA.
Yeah.
He got a no decision, I think, in New York, didn't he?
I think he did. No? Yeah, he did. Well,
again, the big bugaboos continue. The late relief pitching. They've let, I've lost count now, 6, 7 games. And I know you're not going to win all those, but I just wish they had a lockdown closer.
it's not like you don't. Here's the thing with Nice, or Nice, or how you pronounce his last name, the current closer. His MO, when they signed him, I think it was from Milwaukee, he does not, he will make a coach's blood pressure rise, but he always seems to finish. And he's doing the same damn thing again. It's tough to watch him pitch. He's got good stuff. It's just way inconsistent.
Unbelievable this year.
But he manages to get.
Well, he got bailed out on a heck of a play.
Yes,
by
he did.
Ian Happ and Madrigal.
Yes, 2 nights ago. Yes.
Boom, boom play at the plate, and
Well, and if Alonso keeps his hand on the ground,
It's a tie game.
it's
So the Saints
Mets
won.
tie it, but he didn't. And I don't know. I would like for him to just. Sometimes I think he just throws without being or thinking about his pitch situation.
And you're getting to the point, Tony, where like these starters say, Imanaga has a great outing, and you're like, oh, please, counsel, don't take him out. Don't take him out.
I know.
You know what's going to happen.
I know. Yeah, that's the feel. So that's got to get corrected. I don't know how.
And
I
Alzolay
just-
is just, the other day, he gave up, a 3-run bomb that game, I think, was 1-1.
He is
And
one.
he
He's
lost
one
that
of the
game.
pitchers I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's just throwing up there.
Can he recover?
I think he can because he's got the stuff to recover.
Right.
But nothing is purposed that he needs to hit. He's throwing up there, hoping his movement is going to bail him out.
Right.
And that's a different mentality.
Hitters aren't missing his mistakes.
No.
It's like Hendricks. They're ending up in the outfield, beyond the outfield wall.
Well, if Hendricks does come back up, then we got to put him in the middle rotation.
And he's close. He had a
good outing.
assignment,
I think it was Tennessee
he
or something like
wasn't
that.
I
But
mean, he still gave up runs down there. And I think it's seven strikeouts.
yeah,
6 hits or something.
like I said, I think it's right now our middle relief is between the ears.
They're getting great starting pitching, that's for sure.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Boy, they didn't hit worth a lick on that road trip they just got off of.
No, you look at it. They scored 9 runs total in that 4-game set with the Mets. Gave up 8,
And somehow split 2
11,
games. Split
15 runs. I mean,
Yeah.
and yet they walked out of New York with a split.
One of those wins was 1-0.
Yeah, well,
Game,
yeah.
play at the plate.
That was the 2 nights ago. So, they lost to Boston, got their butts whipped 17-0 in one of those games. But, you're going to have one of those.
Yeah.
You just hope it wasn't going to be that bad, but it was. I don't know. Well,
And the White Sox, remember last week's show, they'd been on that losing streak to come back last weekend, sweep the Rays, and then boy, the Twins forever have had their number.
well,
I mean,
the
I'm
Twins right
talking
now
years.
we're on one of the. I haven't followed them in
Going
the last
into
couple
last
nights.
night, I think they'd won 10 in a row. The Twins.
Is it 10? Was it 10 in a
Yeah.
row? The streak was still going. Okay, yeah. So
But then you look at the White Sox, right? It was 6-20, a lot. It's just not good.
Yeah.
It's 6 and
yeah,
bad.
it's yeah, it's 6
Really
and
bad, right?
6 and 25 actually. So
Oof.
yeah, and they've dropped already 3 games in a row, and they got the Cardinals tonight, and that's at St. Louis. So
Maybe the Sox can do this.
maybe they could. The Cardinals aren't playing well.
Right?
Cardinals aren't playing well at all. So I don't know. All right, Doogie, have a good weekend.
All right, you too.
Folks, that's it for Sports Talk on the Max. We'll do it next Friday at noon. So join us.